Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, into the Week 7 edition of the Coach's Corner presented by Holten Meats, Chop House Steak Burgers, out here live from the press box even. So got a little bit of a change of scenery. Alex Schlemmer and Coach Horner with us again for this Week 7 matchup against the Wildcats from Salem. So another conference game, and Coach, another do-or-die game. You got to win out to get yourself in the playoffs here. So what's the mood like this week of practice, and what's the feel going in tomorrow night?
Mood's been really good. Of course, it's always good after a win. We'll see what the mood's like after a 2-hour bus drive ride tomorrow. But no, all in all, it's been a really good week of practice actually, and we're probably as healthy as we've been in a lot of weeks. So that's a positive. And kids were flying around yesterday. Our execution's been a lot better. We just have to be able to carry over our execution and practice into the game where we can be a little bit more consistent. But we've got a tall task. Salem's a good football team, and we've got to go on the road.
That's a big thing, that road trip, 2 hours, that's never fun, whether Central's long enough of a road trip, it seems like, and now you're going to extend it a little bit farther. But in the past, we've played pretty well down there. We'll talk a little bit later. We're 2-0 at home. We're 2-0 on the road down there. So it seems like you guys are always able to reach up to that task and get the job done whenever you go down there. Yeah,
the one thing that's different this year that we're not used to is we don't have school on Friday, so it takes kids out of routine. Up until the schedule changes that happened this year, that's always been our central week when we didn't have school on Friday, and then and you just don't like that kind of stuff, But the good news is our kids are well aware of it, and they have plans to get up in the morning at a decent time and get to breakfast and kind of have a little team bonding thing, and then try to be awake for more than an hour before the bus leaves, and then sleep 2 hours on the bus, right? So. Yeah, the trip is always a challenge. We usually leave a little earlier than normal, try to arrive a little earlier than normal. And a trip like that may be different than what we might do if it was a shorter trip, just so the kids can get out and, you don't want them to have to jump off the bus, jump in their uniform, and go out and start warm-ups. So, a task, but you know what? It's part of it. And if you're going to win in the playoffs, you're going to have to travel. And so it's a good experience for us.
Well, hopefully we'll get to that Week 10 matchup. But a little bit about last week. Eagles coming off of the 42-12 victory over East Alton, and we pretty much dominated every facet of the game. We threw the ball well. We ran the ball well. We talked about blocking well. You look at McConaughey at 18 carries, over 100 yards rushing, I think 127 there. So, 3 touchdowns out of him. We said his name left and right all night. Dom Vegley as well, 8 for 12, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns for him, 1 more pick. 8 carries, 54 yards, and another rushing touchdown. And somebody you said, Colin Saigon, we got him into the end zone for the first time this year. So did a little bit of everything and got the job done when we needed to.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier, Alex, before we started, obviously those guys don't get those kind of numbers if there aren't guys doing their job. And, we talk a lot about how important it is for the linemen to block and block consistently, and certainly that's important. But the part of it that sometimes gets forgotten is what our wide receivers do from week to week. And when you're not throwing the ball a ton and you're trying to run the ball to the perimeter, those guys out there got to do a good job blocking, and they've been outstanding. They honestly have. And I hope to see that continue this week. Some of the guys we're going to be blocking this week are a little bit bigger than some of the other guys we've blocked in the past, but they do a great job. So it was awesome to finally get Colin in the end zone, and we kind of made that a point going into the game that we had the opportunity, we were going to do that.
And your offensive line, they're blocking just as well. You look at Sam Denny gets the scoop and almost scores. We're watching here right now. Not too many times you get the almost score in there. He gets pushed out at the 3. And then, linemen get a pretty easy job. You got to get 3 yards. We get it done, and we get into the end zone. But we haven't had no bad snaps out of Grant Matheny this year that I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, it's going to happen in Week 9, late in the season, late in the game. But, they're doing a good job getting the snaps back there. And then the line, you got McConaughey, 127 yards rushing. I know he's an athlete and he makes his own holes, but those guys are giving him a good push to get started.
About as how much he weighs, too, is about 127. Sorry, Kyle, if you see this. But, no, all you have to do is give that kid a seam. If he can get past first level, man, he's a jitterbug out there. He's harder than heck to tackle, and guys will tell you that. Even I remember after the game at Freeburg, and it was a game that they won, but they had guys telling me, man, that kid's quick, and he's got great feet, he's got great vision. He started even last year and more so into this year, learn how to use his size, lack of maybe size to. He's hard to tackle. There's not a lot of surface to grab a hold of. So yeah, he had a great week, but defensively, I think you're talking about the scoop and almost score, and defense did a good job. Offenses like that, when you're playing those wing T teams, most important down. A lot of times people think, oh, third down's the most important down. No, it's not. First down's the most important down. Teams like that don't like 2nd and 10. They certainly don't like 2nd and 13, but they love anything 2nd and 6, 5, 4, anything inside of that. And so we were able to do that for most of the game, and it helped us kind of control what was going on out there.
And you've talked about that whole first down thing on the offensive side of the ball. It's your most important side or play. Defense, same way. And Jared, for the first time, I don't know if you're aware of this, he predicted the first shutout that's ever been predicted on a pregame show. So Coach G almost had it, gave up the 12 points. So, we did what we had to do, and we were able to dominate the game. We got that win, get us hopefully a little bit of momentum running into this game, and we're going to see what happens. But, all in all, nothing bad to say about last week's game.
No, we're happy. W is a W. I think there's still a ton of room for improvement, and of course there always is, but we definitely know that after watching film, and we did what we had to do to get the win, and we still have room to improve. So.
Well, that's enough about week 6. That one's behind us. You've been practicing for 3 days. We're going to put that behind us up here as well. We're going to come back. We'll talk the conference schedule, the conference standings, the week 7 matchup against Salem, and we will be right back with the Holten Meets Coaches Corner right after this. Welcome back into the Holten Meets Coaches Corner presented by Holten Meats Chop House Steak Burgers. Coach, another conference game. You look at the conference standings, nothing really changed too much over the week, and still looking at the top. We're still in that top half. You got a couple undefeated teams. You got us coming in at 2-1, and you look at Breeze Central up there, 3-0, 5-1 overall. They need one more win to get in the playoffs. Freeburg 4-2, 2-1. Salem 4-2, 2-1. Us at 3-3, 2-1. Wood River and Roxana both sitting at 1-5 and 0-3. And you look at the standings there, and you look why Freeburg is over the top of Salem and us just because of those points for. All three of us putting up a lot of points, and Salem, you look at them, they're putting up a lot of points too, so you guys are going to have your hands full there. And I'm sure you would look at that conference standings and not see anything that shocks you out of the norm.
No, I don't think so. After Central beat Freeburg, obviously put them at the top. A lot of things that have to happen in our favor for things to change. Roxanne and Breeze Central play this week, and I mean, all signs lead to Central probably handling them, even though, Roxana, they've been doing some good things. They're just very young, both offensively and defensively. They play a lot of sophomores and juniors. But we would need Roxana to bump off Breeze Central and then us to win out, and then we could shake that thing up a little bit and maybe sneak out of there with at least a share of the conference title. But, no, there's no surprises there, and I don't the only change I foresee happening this week would be number 4 Columbia being victorious over number 3 Salem and us being 3-1 and them 2-2 in the conference.
So you look at the conference schedule this week. Like you said, you've got Roxana and Central. Roxana has to host Central, that is. Columbia, we go to Salem, and Freeburg at East Alton. And like you said, you look at the 3 teams on the left. I would expect 3 teams on the left to get the victories here. And it's pretty much going to be a dominant on those 3. Like you had said last week, I believe, when we were talking, you thought it was going to be a 3-dog race at the end of the season, and it looks like that's how it's shaping out to be.
Well, it is, but I'll tell you, this Salem ball club, they're good. They really are, and they, that game last week, they took Central down to the wire. It was a close game the entire night. Missed 2-point conversion cost them the game. So I think that was a 7-6 was the final. So, those two bottom teams, with Freeburg playing East Alton and Central playing Roxana, those seem like no-brainers maybe. Taking nothing away from the other 2 teams, but Freeburg and Central have kind of proven where they're at. And but our game is going to be something. It could go either way. I mean, it's one of those things where if we play well, isn't this how every coach thinks? If you play well, you're going to be in it. If you don't play well, you're not going to be. Well, duh. We know that. But it's going to be a good football game. I don't think either one of the 2 teams are going to walk away with the game.
Well, you look at the matchup we got this week, and it's a little bit of a homecoming for the Horner family. Coach Horner's father goes back to Salem, and where he is the All-American. Never knew anything about that. Pretty reserved guy. You never tell all these secrets until, thanks to Howie. Howie does a little bit of digging, and he finds it for us. So Columbia goes into Salem. They're 4-0 all time. All 4 of the victories have come with Coach Horner here in the last couple of years whenever they moved over to the conference. Most recent meeting was this spring whenever the Eagles won 37-18. And can you remember anything major about that game this past spring that put us ahead and victorious over the spring season?
Well, I do remember making a couple halftime adjustments, and we were having a hard time blocking their defensive ends, and so we made a couple halftime adjustments and were able to come out right away in the second half. And McConaughey had a big run for us, about 50-yarder, that got us in some good field position. We were able to get the ball in the end zone early in the second half, which helped. And then we were able to take advantage of getting the ball to number 28. Most people would do that if they had that kid on their team. Yeah, London had a great night for us that night, and we got the ball in his hands and let him be the playmaker that he is. But again, I feel like we've played there like every single season. I don't remember playing Salem at home. I don't know. We were just there in April, and so here we are again going back there. But yeah, we were able to have some success, but they moved the ball on us a little bit too. I do remember that. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and they're putting up 194 points this season, so Coach Germain's going to have his work cut out for him, slowing them down. They're right behind Freeburg in the conference standings. I think Freeburg's 195 and they're 194. They're neck and neck with each other, so they're going to be putting up some points. So on their offensive side of the ball, what are we expecting to see? What are we keying in on? Can you give me any insight?
Yeah, I can give you a little bit of insight. Salem is. I feel like that every year that we play Salem, it's the same. I don't think any of their kids have ever graduated because they honestly are the same looking team always. They are extremely big up front, which they always are. They're aggressive, not only up front defensively, but their linebackers are aggressive. And then they always have a decent quarterback and one or so skilled kids that you're really worried about. And not that all of them can't hurt you. But they've got a 3-year starter in a kid by the name of Caleb B, and he's legit. I mean, this kid, he's a big kid. He's 6'2" or 3. He's got some size to him, and if we don't contain him, man, he can go the distance anytime. And kind of gives us a idea of what it used to feel like for other teams to have to guard our guys. When London and Donovan and guys like that were on our side, and Ronnie and so on. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games where again we haven't proven we can stop the run all year long. And if we don't stop it, and they're content enough with continuing to do it, they'll just push us around a little bit and be up and down the field all day long, and we're going to have to make sure that we can control that.
And that's something I believe that you and Coach Jermaine, I don't know what happens at that halftime talk, but it seems like there's always something. You might be giving up a little bit in the first half and something changes. And I'm sure you guys have been around it. You've seen it all, it seems like, now in the 21 years you guys have been together. That you make those adjustments.
Yeah, right. I mean, I had a coach tell me a long time ago, when my high school football coach said, when I first got into coaching, he said, you'll find out over the years that you do this that one of the biggest things that has to happen, that you have to get good at, is being able to make adjustments at halftime. You can't just continue. If things aren't working, you can't continue doing what you've been doing for the first half and expect it to be any better in the second half. So we try to make some adjustments. Coach and I have been around long enough where we typically have a generally good idea of what we think we can change that's not too drastic, so that you don't confuse the kids yet. Whether it's a blocking assignment adjustment, whether it's a play adjustment. We don't draw plays up in the dirt at halftime and come up with new ones, but we do adjust how we do things. Maybe it's a formation change or whatever. So that's key. That's going to be key, and we're going to have to probably do it again like we always do.
So now you look at their defensive side of the ball. When you're watching film, what are you looking at this week? Where can you try to exploit something? And you've made the adjustments week to week too. I know back in the day when we did the wristbands, you're switching a wristband out every week to have that set of plays called. So this week, what are you looking to try to get done?
Well, without giving too much away, and hopefully nobody from Salem watches this tonight, but I think that we have a little bit more speed than they do in some of our positions. Now, honestly, they're like I said earlier, their secondary kids have got some decent speed, but I think we've made some adjustments on how we think we're going to try to run the ball, and up the middle or interior wise. But I think that part of our plan this week is going to be trying to get to the perimeter and make them chase us all over the field, which we've always done. We've played them anyway. I want people to have to defend us from sideline to sideline, not hash mark to hash mark. So, again, they're going to have to execute those plays, though. Blocking in space is hard. We've been doing a great job of it. As long as we continue that, then we'll be okay. But that's kind of what we see. Again, like I said earlier, they're big up front. Their defensive ends are aggressive. Their backers are aggressive. We're just going to have to block and stay engaged a little longer to give McConaughey some room. And I think if we give him room, they'll have a hard time tackling him.
So besides controlling the line of scrimmage, because that's the number one key, what's your number two key? Is it going to be get the guys ready to go getting off the bus? Is it going to be getting them ready pregame? What's your first task when you get to Salem tomorrow night?
Well, the first task when we get to Salem tomorrow night is, get off the bus, and we'll probably walk out on the field a little bit just to kind of shake the cobwebs out. If you're talking number one task as far as game plan-wise tomorrow night, we have got to control their run game. If we can stop their run and force them into passing downs, we'll be in great shape. And then we need to do a better job offensively of controlling the football up and down the field rather than always relying on a big play, because that just puts your defense – it's great to put points on the board, but it puts your defense back out on the field that much faster, and we just don't have enough guys right now, too many guys going both ways for that to be a good recipe. It's just not.
So health-wise, you said everybody's back to where we should be?
Yeah, I mean, with the ones that are still able. We still have a couple of those kids that have been out all season. But, for the most part, I think we're 98% healthy.
That's better than where we have been. Yeah. So it sounds like it's a pretty simple game plan. We got to get there, get the cobwebs off, stop the run, have a little bit more time possession in the game, and Eagles should come out victorious.
Yeah, that'd be a much more pleasurable 2-hour ride home if we do.
All right. Well, we will not be having the game on YouTube tomorrow night. We have some other obligations going on. So we will have the Salem broadcast. We will put a link out for that for everybody to get that. They do a good job. They got radio going. They got their own TV station, I believe is what it is down there. So their press box last year, it was full with media guys, and they told us to go up top. We had everything set up top, and they said, nope, you guys are going down below. So they have a great way of showing the game. So you'll be watching Salem's broadcast tomorrow night, and we will be back with you next week for the Coach's Corner. Week 8 then. So hopefully we're talking about homecoming week, a busy week, senior night.
Week. Yep.
So hopefully we're talking about an Eagles victory over Salem, and we'll be getting ready for homecoming and senior night next week with the Breeze Central Cougars. So with all that being said, thank you, Coach Horner. Thank you all for watching from the press box this week, and we will be back with Holten Meets Coach's Corner in about a week from now.
Yep. 8 days.
Good luck, Coach Horner.
Thank you. Appreciate it.